Are you ready to uncover the hidden side of Uruguay? While Uruguay may be South America's best-kept secret, it's also home to some of the most unconventional customs you'll ever encounter, and you're about to learn 10 of those taboos. Make sure to stick around till the end, because whether you're a seasoned traveler or a first-time visitor, understanding these customs is crucial for making the most of your experience. Ready to be amazed, intrigued, and maybe even a little bit shocked? This is Uruguay like you've never seen it before. 1. Insulting the national football team. If there's one thing you don't want to do in Uruguay, it's talk smack about their beloved football team. Seriously, it's practically a cardinal sin. Why? You see, football isn't just a game in Uruguay. It's a way of life, transcending mere sport to become a symbol of national identity and pride. Think of it as the glue that holds the country together. Uruguay's football history is nothing short of legendary, with 2 FIFA World Cup victories under their belt and a slew of other impressive achievements. These triumphs aren't just about winning matches, they're moments of unparalleled joy and unity for the entire nation. During times of hardship or political instability, the national team has served as a beacon of hope and solidarity for Uruguayans. It's a source of pride that brings people together, regardless of their differences. So when you insult the team, you're not just criticizing their performance, you're attacking something sacred, something that binds the nation together. But it goes even deeper than that. You see, there's this concept called Garra Charrua, which embodies the spirit of determination and resilience drawn from Uruguay's indigenous heritage. It's this never-say-die attitude that defines Uruguayan football, and it's why the national team is so revered. So the next time you find yourself in Uruguay, think twice before bad-mouthing their football team. Trust me, it's not a conversation you want to start, unless you're prepared for some serious backlash. After all, football isn't just a game here, it's a matter of national pride. 2. Using the OK sign. Now here's a little tip for you. If you're in Uruguay, you might want to rethink using the OK sign. You know that innocent gesture where you make a circle with your thumb and index finger? Yeah, that one. Turns out it's not so innocent in Uruguayan culture. In North America, the OK sign is a simple way to indicate approval or agreement, but in Uruguay, it's a whole different story. This seemingly harmless gesture is actually considered extremely rude, like seriously offensive. So what gives? Well, in Uruguayan culture, the OK sign is associated with a rather, shall we say, obscene meaning. Yep, you heard that right. It's interpreted as a vulgar insult, equivalent to giving someone the middle finger in North America. Not exactly the message you want to send, right? Instead, if you want to signal "I don't know" or express uncertainty, people in Uruguay might use a different gesture. Picture this: brushing the back of their hand under their chin. It's a subtle yet effective way to convey a similar meaning without causing any unintended offense. This difference in interpretation of gestures highlights the importance of understanding and respecting cultural differences in non-verbal communication. So when in Uruguay, keep those fingers in check. 3. Using a toothpick in public. If you're in Uruguay, keep those toothpicks tucked away. Seriously, using a toothpick in public is a big no-no in Uruguayan culture. Now, you might be wondering why something as innocent as cleaning your teeth could be considered impolite. Well, let's break it down for you. In Uruguay, using a toothpick in public is seen as a sign of poor hygiene and bad manners. It's like announcing to the world, "Hey, look at me. I've got food stuck in my teeth, and I'm not afraid to pick it out right here, right now." Not exactly the image you want to project, right? But it goes beyond just hygiene. It's also about respect for yourself, and respect for those around you. See, in Uruguayan society, personal grooming is something you do in private, away from prying eyes. So whipping out a toothpick in public? Yeah, not the most polite thing to do. So what's the alternative? Well, if you absolutely must clean your teeth after a meal, do yourself a favor and wait until you're in the privacy of your own home. Your teeth and your fellow Uruguayans will thank you for it. And it's not just toothpicks. Reading a newspaper at the family table during any meal besides breakfast is also a major faux pas. It's all about showing respect for your fellow diners and maintaining a level of decorum during mealtime. Here's the deal. In Uruguay, mealtime is sacred. It's a time for families to come together, share stories, and bond over delicious food. Reading a newspaper at the table, well, that's just plain rude. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or anything in between, the family table is a place for conversation and connection. Reading a newspaper can be seen as a distraction, taking away from the communal experience of sharing a meal. So if you're tempted to catch up on the latest headlines while you eat, think again. Put down the paper, engage with your fellow diners, and savor the moment. After all, in Uruguay, mealtime is about more than just food. It's about family, togetherness, and making memories. 4. Women wearing nylon clothes during the summer. Now, let's talk fashion, specifically the taboo surrounding women wearing nylon clothes during the summer in Uruguay. First things first, Uruguayans tend to have a more conservative approach to dressing. They value modesty and simplicity over flashy or flamboyant styles. So when it comes to fashion trends, especially during the scorching summer months, comfort and practicality take precedence over everything else. Now, imagine sweltering heat and sky-high humidity levels. That's a typical summer day in Uruguay. Wearing nylon clothing in such conditions? Yeah, not exactly the most comfortable choice. Nylon isn't exactly known for its breathability, and when you add in the stifling heat, it's a recipe for discomfort. So it's not just about cultural norms, it's also about staying cool and comfortable in the sweltering Uruguayan summer. Women opt for lighter, more breathable fabrics to beat the heat, leaving the nylons tucked away in the back of the closet. But wait, there's more. Beyond practical considerations, there's also a social aspect to this taboo. You see, fashion trends in Uruguay are often influenced by societal norms and expectations. And when it comes to summer attire, the emphasis is on staying cool and comfortable while still looking put together. So, take a cue from the locals and leave the nylon clothes at home. Embrace the laid-back vibe and opt for breezy fabrics that will keep you cool and stylish without breaking any cultural taboos. 5. Disrespecting the mate circle. Now, if you've never heard of mate, let's fill you in. Mate is a traditional South American drink made from dried yerba mate leaves steeped in hot water. But here's the thing, it's so much more than just a beverage. In Uruguay, mate is a way of life. It's a symbol of friendship, hospitality, and social cohesion. Picture this, a group of friends or family members sitting in a circle, passing around a gourd filled with mate, sharing stories and laughter as they sip on this beloved brew. That, my friends, is the mate circle. Now here's where things get serious. Disrespecting the mate circle in Uruguay is considered a major taboo. And we're not talking about a minor faux pas here, but about a breach of social norms that can have serious repercussions. You see, the mate circle represents unity, equality, and mutual respect among participants. It's a sacred ritual that embodies the values of camaraderie and solidarity. So when you disrespect the mate circle, you're not just breaking a rule, you're betraying the very essence of Uruguayan culture. So, what exactly constitutes disrespecting the mate circle? Well, for starters, refusing to partake in the communal ritual is a big no-no. If someone offers you mate, it's considered rude to decline. It's like saying, thanks, but no thanks, to a gesture of friendship and hospitality, but it doesn't stop there. Interrupting the order of passing or mishandling the mate equipment is also frowned upon. You see, there's a certain etiquette to the mate circle, a rhythm and flow that must be respected. And if you disrupt that harmony, you're disrupting the Uruguayan society. Always remember this golden rule. When it comes to mate, respect the circle. Embrace the tradition, savor the moment, and most importantly, honor the bonds of friendship and solidarity that it represents. Trust me, it's a cultural experience you won't soon forget. 6. Public displays of belching and spitting. Next, let's talk about something that might seem like common sense, but it's worth mentioning: public displays of belching and spitting. Now we know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would do such a thing? Well, believe it or not, in Uruguay, these actions are considered major taboos. You see, in Uruguayan culture, there's a strong emphasis on manners and civility, both in public and private settings. We take pride in our behavior, and anything that goes against the grain is seen as uncouth and disrespectful. That's where belching and spitting come into play. Let's start with belching. Now we get it. Sometimes it's hard to hold back a burp, especially after a big meal. But in Uruguay, belching in public is a big no-no. It's seen as crude and offensive, a sign of poor manners and a lack of consideration for those around you. After all, nobody wants to hear the aftermath of your lunch echoing through the streets. And then there's spitting. Now, we don't know about you, but the thought of spitting in public makes our stomachs turn. And in Uruguay, it's not just gross, it's downright disrespectful. Spitting is seen as a violation of social norms, a crude act that disrupts the harmony of public spaces. But it's not just about manners. There are hygiene concerns at play too. Spitting can spread germs and contribute to unsanitary conditions in public areas. And in a country like Uruguay, where cleanliness is prized and orderly environments are the norm, behaviors like belching and spitting stick out like a sore thumb. So the next time you're in Uruguay, keep it classy. Save the belching and spitting for the privacy of your own home and show some respect for those around you. Trust us, your fellow Uruguayans will thank you for it, and you'll avoid committing a major cultural faux pas in the process. 7. Comparing Uruguay to Argentina. On the surface, you might think, what's the harm in a little comparison? But trust me, in Uruguay, this is a topic that's fraught with historical, cultural, and social complexities. First things first, let's talk about national identity. Uruguay has worked hard to cultivate its own distinct identity since gaining independence in the 19th century. It's a small country with a big heart, known for its strong sense of democracy and progressive social policies. Uruguayans are proud of their nation and everything it represents. Now, let's shift our focus to Argentina. Argentina, the larger, more populous neighbor that often steals the spotlight on the global stage. With its vibrant culture, bustling cities, and rich history, Argentina has a way of overshadowing Uruguay from time to time. And there lies the crux of the issue. You see, being in Argentina's shadow can sometimes leave Uruguay feeling a bit, well, overlooked. It's like being the younger sibling who's constantly compared to their older, more successful counterpart. Sure, Uruguay might be smaller, but it's got plenty of charm and character to spare. But it's not just about size. There's also a sense of rivalry between the two nations, particularly when it comes to sports. The great unifier and divider all at once. Uruguayans are passionate about football, and historical rivalries with Argentina have only fueled the fire. It's a competitive spirit that runs deep, and sometimes it can spill over into other aspects of life. So, when you're in Uruguay, be mindful of how you talk about Argentina. Sure, it might seem innocent enough to draw comparisons, but remember that these two nations have a complex relationship that goes far beyond surface-level observations. Show some respect for Uruguay's unique identity, and you'll earn the respect of its people in return. 8. Pointing directly at someone. Here's a little tip for you. If you're in Uruguay, avoid pointing directly at someone. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's wrong with a little finger pointing? Well, in Uruguayan culture, it's actually considered pretty impolite, and trust me, you don't want to ruffle any feathers. So, why is pointing a big no-no in Uruguay? Let's break it down. You see, in Uruguayan culture, there's a strong emphasis on maintaining harmony and showing respect for others' feelings and dignity. Pointing directly at someone can be perceived as aggressive, confrontational, and downright disrespectful. Imagine this scenario. You're having a conversation with someone and they suddenly jab their finger in your direction. It's like a verbal punch to the gut, confrontational and accusatory, with the potential to escalate into unnecessary conflict or hurt feelings. Not exactly the vibe you want to create, right? But it goes even deeper than that. You see, in Uruguayan communication, there's a preference for indirect gestures and subtle cues to convey messages. It's all about fostering a more harmonious and respectful interaction where everyone feels valued and heard. And let's not forget about personal space. Pointing directly at someone can feel like a violation of their boundaries, invading their personal space and making them feel uncomfortable or even threatened. It's a subtle yet significant gesture that can speak volumes about your intentions and attitude towards others. Instead, opt for a more respectful approach. Use your words to convey your message, and remember to show consideration for those around you. It's a small gesture that can make a big difference in how you're perceived in Uruguayan society. 9. Being careless in the ocean. Now, let's talk about something that's near and dear to the hearts of Uruguayans: the ocean. Now, Uruguay boasts some of the most stunning coastlines along the Atlantic Ocean, with its pristine beaches and crystal-clear waters drawing locals and tourists alike. But here's the thing: as beautiful as it may be, the ocean can also be a formidable force to be reckoned with. You see, Uruguayans have a deep respect for the power of the ocean. They've witnessed firsthand its ability to unleash fury and claim lives. Strong currents, unpredictable tides, and sudden weather changes. These are just a few of the hidden dangers lurking beneath the surface. And trust me, when the ocean speaks, Uruguayans listen. So being careless in the ocean is not just frowned upon in Uruguay. It's considered a serious offense against nature itself. Imagine you're frolicking in the waves, oblivious to the potential dangers that lie ahead. It's a reckless disregard for your own safety and the safety of those around you. But it goes beyond that. Uruguayans also have a strong sense of community and responsibility towards one another, especially when it comes to matters of safety. Lifeguards and beach patrols are diligently stationed along the coastlines, serving as vigilant guardians against potential hazards. Disregarding their warnings or putting oneself at unnecessary risk is viewed as not only reckless, but also selfish behavior. So, if you're tempted to let your guard down in the ocean, think again. Respect the power of the waves, heed the warnings of the lifeguards, and above all, prioritize safety. After all, the ocean may be beautiful, but it's not to be trifled with. 10. Smoking indoors. Yup, indoors and not just out in public. First and foremost, let's talk about the law. Uruguay made headlines back in 2006 when it became the first country in South America to implement a 100% smoke-free national policy. This groundbreaking policy wasn't just a suggestion. It was the law of the land. The government took a bold stance against smoking in enclosed public spaces, recognizing the health risks associated with secondhand smoke and the importance of protecting non-smokers from exposure. But it wasn't just about legislation. It was about fostering a culture of health and well-being. You see, Uruguayans take pride in their commitment to leading healthy lifestyles, and smoking indoors simply doesn't align with that ethos. The country boasts one of the lowest percentages of adults who smoke in the world, a testament to its efforts to curb tobacco use and promote public health. So when you light up indoors in Uruguay, you're not just breaking the law, you're going against the grain of a society that values clean air and healthy living. It's a cultural norm that's deeply ingrained in the fabric of Uruguayan society, and those who flout it risk facing social ostracization and even legal consequences. But it's not just about the law or cultural norms, it's also about respect. Smoking indoors isn't just a personal choice, it affects everyone around you. Secondhand smoke can have serious health consequences for non-smokers, particularly children, pregnant women, and individuals with respiratory conditions. By lighting up indoors, you're not just endangering your own health, you're putting others at risk too. And let's not forget about the impact on the environment. Cigarette smoke can linger in indoor spaces long after the smoker has left. leaving behind a stale odor and residue that can be difficult to eliminate. It's not just unpleasant, it's also a reminder of the harmful chemicals that cigarettes contain and the damage they can do to our bodies and our planet. This means if you find yourself in Uruguay, remember to respect the no smoking signs and step outside if you need to indulge your nicotine craving. Your fellow Uruguayans will appreciate it, and you'll be doing your part to contribute to a healthier, smoke-free environment. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune into our next exciting video.